In the early periods of Australian history, the only form of communications with the rest of the world was by sailing ship. The vast remoteness of Australia meant that it usually took about one whole year for dispatches from Australia to reach England and return. During the first century of colonisation, despite the undying pioneering spirit of early white Australians, expansion of settlement into the vast reaches of our continent was hindered greatly by what has since been termed by Australian historian Geoffrey Blainey as the tyranny of distance. One of the most significant developments of this decade, and indeed this century, and one which is dramatically changing the way we communicate and disseminate information over the vast reaches of our land, is satellite communications. And at the heart of this relatively new technology is the AUSSAT satellite system.
Come in. It's Ellen here, Mr. Johnson. The weather's really bad. I don't think we'll be able to have our lesson today. Over. I can't hear you at all, Mr. Johnson. The weather's much too bad. We'll have to try again tomorrow. Over and out.
Up till now, the provision of education in remote areas has been plagued by problems in communications. The School of the Air began operating in the 1950s, using radio facilities of the Royal Flying Doctor Service. It functions through high-frequency radio and is often virtually inoperable in the inland areas due to atmospheric interference. To test the benefits of satellite communication in education, a class at the Mount Isa School of the Air has been converted from high-frequency radio to satellite communication. In place of the normal press-to-talk and loudspeaker, each student is provided with high-quality duplex voice and data services, as well as personal computer and television screen to link him or her with the teacher in Mount Isa. This amazing technology has been made possible by the development, launching and maintenance of Australia's AUSSAT satellite system, comprising at this stage AUSSAT satellites 1, 2 and 3. This is AUSSAT 1, fully deployed in the factory at Hughes Aircraft Company, measuring 6.6 meters in height and 2.2 meters in diameter. Compare this with the size of the man in the foreground. AUSSAT 1 was launched, as was AUSSAT 2, by the American Space Shuttle Discovery in 1985 and 86 respectively. AUSSAT 3 was launched by the French rocket Ariane in 1987, shown here on the launch pad 6 hours prior to liftoff. The satellite is initially positioned in its parking orbit at about 300 kilometers, from which it is further launched into its geostationary orbit at about 36,000 kilometers above the Earth. At that height, the satellite revolves around the Earth in exactly 24 hours, and the satellite is described as geostationary because it is always at the same position above the Earth. Here you can see AUSSAT 1 being launched away from the space shuttle into its parking orbit. After release from the space shuttle, a sequence of rocket firings maneuvers the satellite firstly into its parking orbit then into its geostationary orbit. Signals transmitted from the satellite cover designated areas, usually referred to as footprints. Within those footprints, satellite ground stations are engineered to receive transmissions. They may be, for example, television, telephony, or data. These are the major applications of satellite technology in Australia. The tracking, telemetry and command antenna at Belrose Earth Station in Sydney is used primarily during the initial orbit, tracking and acquisition phase of a spacecraft mission. Another view of AUSAT's main Earth station at Belrose. There is one 14-metre, two 13-metre and one 8-metre antennae dedicated to communications traffic for all three operational satellites. Inside at Belrose, the Satellite Control Centre, where the control and monitoring takes place of all spacecraft from initial launching through to routine on-station activities. AUSAT's major city teleports. Trailer-mounted mobile Earth stations provide quick and cost-efficient communications for remote areas to any location in Australia. They are used by such people as emergency services, for example, police and firefighters, mining companies, data collection by environmental scientists, and by forestry and crop managers. A satellite service usually involves two-way traffic. Here the telecommunications system shows the broadcaster transmitting and the customer receiving signals. Other such services cover distance education and, surprisingly, health applications, telemedicine. For example, a patient in a remote area could have a slow scan television examination, X-rays and electrocardiograph taken, and all sent to a medical centre for diagnosis and treatment. But in the long term, the role of the satellite may change from just a repeater in the sky, retransmitting signals sent from the Earth, to an increasingly intelligent space-based signal processing system, offering high levels of digital processing and sophisticated switching and control, giving personal service opportunities such as three-dimensional television, direct-to-home electronic mail, and, amazingly, pocket video phones giving instant worldwide access. Some say it's mind-boggling. Others say that it's all inevitable.